I'm not even ready.
Uh-oh, too
I
late.
just I I just see my phone and my screen like changes and like you have hit the button. We're
You
here.
you
We're
know the
doing it.
deal. No takebacks. I need to find, you know, the. Did you ever watch the show 24 with Kiefer Sutherland in it?
Oh, I so dig that show.
Yes. You know the music that they always play, the little doot doot doot. I need to find that sound clip, and use that for the beginning of the show.
You know, that show is more our reality today than any other modern show I can think of.
Look, you're not too far from the truth, and we were talking about earlier. So to the couple of folks that are already signing on, I don't know if you have seen any of the YouTube clips or whatever. The Forbes breaking news has some good YouTube clips of it. The grilling of the ATF director or whatever his official title was in front of Congress over them, executing that guy up in Little Rock.
Oh, they've been handing them their hat, and I
Yeah.
mean, hey, did you know about that deal? Did you know that like if this is the same one that they supposedly they met up, they were going to like raid this dude, right? They met up in the parking lot. They were caught on surveillance camera. They determined that he wasn't home, and so then they decided, ah, well, we're going to wait, and
Yeah.
we're only going to go when he's at home. And they canceled. They left.
Yeah, they did a no knock warrant. They did it, pre dawn, no knock raid, literally like put a piece of tape over the ring camera or whatever the camera had at the door. And like less than a minute later, they had shot him in the head. Now, granted, he came out of his bedroom with his pistol, fired a couple of shots. I think he hit one of the ATF agents in the foot or something. I don't know the whole story, so I may be misquoting. So there's the old rule, don't go into a gunfight without expecting to, be in a gunfight. But they shot him in the head just feet from his wife. I mean, it was a disaster. And here's the thing. This guy was he was like the highest paid um, civil service guy or whatever his title was. He was like in charge of the Little Rock airport. I mean, he wasn't like some gun runner. Anyway, it's a disaster.
Wait a minute, Little Rock Airport, is that like the one where, it's named after Clinton?
Yeah. Yeah, the Bill and Hillary airport or Billary airport or whatever.
I've been there, and I've
Yeah,
been
the
there,
Bleach
actually,
Pit airport, whatever.
yeah, okay, well,
So anyway,
holy crap.
yeah. So for those of you that are starting to tune in, we will talk about Bossier stuff here in a minute. But I'm going to go off on a sidetrack. So for any of our law enforcement personnel that are watching, and feel free to use Proton Mail to answer this, but I wonder what the Bossier Police Department's policy would be or what their stance would be because here's the other thing in that case, they had no body cams. None. Not even the local Little Rock police. None of them had on their body cams. And they assisted in this ATF raid. So I want to know, what would the Bossier Police Department's stance be if presented with a similar situation? It would be completely hypothetical. Would they actively participate in a pre-dawn, no-knock warrant raid of someone's house, guns drawn, of somebody who was of similar circumstance to this Little Rock guy? Or would they actually uphold the Constitution that they swore to uphold? What would be their position on that? I want to hear from some of our law enforcement friends.
Oh no, we got some good cats in Bossier. We do. They're underpaid, but we got some good cats in Bossier. And
Yeah,
but you're right.
I would like to think the vast majority of them would do the right thing and, I don't know, not participate or whatever the right thing would be. But anyway, I'm just interested. What is law enforcement's stance on that? Go read up on the case and then let us know in the comments or via Proton Mail.
I'll tell you, I think we unfortunately are on the fast track across the country of having to have, our law enforcement, our public servants, public safety. I'll describe everybody that way of having to make decisions, um, that they shouldn't have to make. We're on a
Sure.
fast track of them having to do that, but Hey, did you see today the Supreme Court? They threw Texas a bone.
Oh,
Um,
really?
te- yes, sir. Texas, they had passed a bill that Texas can arrest, um, jail, deport, do whatever anyone they find that is illegally in their state. And the
Imagine that.
Supreme,
They can
yeah,
enforce the law.
they can enforce the law. Supreme Court upheld it. Of course, the liberal Democrat justices opposed, but all the rest of them, the majority of, I'll say, moderate to conservatives, they all supported it and
Uh,
upheld Texas's right to do it. So that's fixing to cascade across the country.
Imagine that. Yeah, well, maybe we'll talk about it when we come out of the break, but there was another Elon Musk interview segment that I watched the other day. Um, and he was talking about apportionment. So it's not so much the illegal, his stance was it's not so much the illegals actually being able to vote. It's
That's
that is
right.
how apportionment is calculated off the census results, and the census results don't take into account whether you're legal or illegal. And I think it was an interview with Don Lemon or somebody on a YouTube deal. But anyway, I mean, like, Lemon was shocked that, somebody really intelligent had that answer.
Yeah, but that's been the deal for a long time. In fact, in Trump's last term, at the end of his term, he when they were doing the census at that time, pushed that issue to include in there. And then as he was going out the door, the DOJ objected to it, and you couldn't include in the census. You had to be a citizen, and the DOJ, which a lot of them that were there were non-Trump people. I mean, they fought Trump while he was still there in the waning days, so that the census that took place was going to ultimately end up counting the illegals against the numbers, so that you know because here's the thing, Texas. So say Texas starts deporting, arresting all of the illegal, that are, I got to tell you, I don't agree that all all of the illegal migrants. I don't believe that they're all Democrats. I mean, it's just like everybody has this afterthought that an illegal, South American or whatever is just automatically a Democrat. I don't believe that. I don't believe
I,
that at all. But once the conservative states, let's say the Texases, the Louisianas, when they start cleaning out their states, all those illegals, they're going to defect to the Californias, the New Yorks, and Elon is exactly right. It's going to pump up the numbers in those places so that they will have more congressmen, in those places.
yeah, imagine that. He is a pretty smart. He pretty much is a rocket scientist all by himself. All right, well, let's go ahead and jump to the break so we can help pay a few bills around here. Folks, y'all know the drill. Tag and share out, text some friends, let everybody know we're on our soapbox, because I don't know if y'all are aware, but we're going to 6-year terms for city councilman and for the mayor. Manchac is going to take over all contracts. The police department has issued some sort of letter. Oh, and we're going to talk about the unconstitutionality of the Bossier Parish Police Jury in the lawsuit against some local folks, the McCormicks, and their land.
No, you don't say police jury standing against the people in the public. Yeah, is that what you're saying?
I'm not
Trying
saying
to
it, but we're
trying
going
to
to
go
see
against?
who is.
I'm shocked. Just I'm
Yucked.
devastated. Who
Yes.
knew?
Yeah, who knew? All right, folks, we'll be back in about 3.5 minutes. Y'all make some popcorn, make you a stiff drink, tag a friend, text a friend, do all that kind of stuff. We'll be right back, and we are going to get right into Bossier stuff.
If folks knew a lot of the back office on the politicians that they think walk on water, they would be shocked. There's an old wound from a knife in my back that just is giving me heck lately, and it's just really irritating, so I have to kind of wiggle around a little bit.
Well, I've not heard my name in stable or Baton Rouge in stable in the same sentence in a long time.
I titled it "A Shot Across the Bow of the Good Old Boys."
Just, they feel helpless, they don't feel heard, they have nowhere to turn.
Some Republicans as well believe that government has the answers. And let me tell y'all something. I don't know anything government does well. Nothing.
And aren't there laws that say that you have public meetings so that the public can have accountability of their elected officials?
They're making a little bit of progress, but I would definitely have to give the race to Caddo Parish right now. Yeah.
I don't know. Is there anybody from Plain Dealing watching, you think?
As a member of the media, I'm very concerned about what I've just heard.
Did you or did you not requisition money to fight against this or for it?
We hired a lobbyist. It cost us $15,000. We were opposed to HB 630.
So for this week, folks, the cockroach of the week, according to bossierwatch and Duke Lowry and Rex Moncrief, is
Raymond Cruz legislative assistant, Allie Feaster Smith. Thank you, Allie.
Well, I'm not thinking Star Wars at all. I'm thinking zombie apocalypse.
No way.
Okay,
it was not
okay.
David. You know it wasn't David Montgomery. David ain't going to jump off in there with Chris. He ain't going to do it. He'd as soon spit on him as he would even look at him. Man, this is a Mickey D's Krispy Kreme wheat. Didn't you know? Who's paying y'all? And if you're driving on the roads, are you safe?
It's on the road, yeah.
Well, I know you're on the road, but I mean, is this all folks coming from the border down there?
Yeah, it's going to border. It's actually going to Mexico, the buses.
doesn't mean they interpret it the same way that I do. For instance, the Second Amendment. I take it very literally. That's been interpreted different ways in the court system all the way up to SCOTUS. Yeah, that's only going to cause more division that he claims he doesn't want to cause. And it's only going to cause more suspicion. We're still right now combined on both pages and YouTube at 264 people watching. That is amazing. Folk Coleman Project, the Walker Place deal, through conscious shocking actions. The purpose of their actions was to stop plaintiffs, being the Earl Coleman and associated groups and all that, from developing Walker Place. But here's a key thing, which in turn would enrich sitting city council members Scott Irwin and David Montgomery Jr.
You hit the button. Does that mean that people are seeing us sitting here talking and chatting?
In theory, it's an every week thing. We got to double check and make sure it's like a miracle any of this actually works. This live broadcast is brought to you by the Outdoor News, fishing and outdoors for our area. Acadiana Mortgage, over 25 years in the mortgage business. Pelican Training and Consulting. Reach out to Julie Ferris. Smarter Geek, making technology easier. And folks sharing information and watching out. Now, grab your popcorn and a drink. Here we go. And we're back. Hey, you want to go fishing for a minute?
But sure, anything better than riding a four-wheeler upside down.
I saw
I'm
your
digging
wheels up with the four-wheeler. I don't think that's really what that phrase is supposed to mean, wheels up.
Hey, I really think Bo did that to me. I think Bo did it.
Blame it on Bo. Sure, he
I think
can't
I think
talk.
It was Bo. It was
Yeah.
Bo.
He can't. He can't defend himself by talking. So sure, just blame it on Bo. Well,
But what's this nasty rumor about you and Fish? What are you talking about?
well, let's just go see.
Studley. Wow. That's a good fish right there. Yes, sir.
And I've got a couple of more, not quite that big, but almost on video, and I've got to put it together. Hey, I want to mention a comment. So Christopher James Norris says, Mr. Rex, being a bass fisherman as you are, I bet that story of that guy being arrested last week for putting weights inside the fish for a tournament ticked you off. Well, yeah. And, one of the downsides of social media is things become news instantly, but one of the good things about social media is things become news instantly. And when somebody cheats in a tournament, their name's out there like a flash. Did you know this guy put 2.5 pounds of weight inside a bass. Like they weren't gonna be able to detect that.
I mean, look, I saw one of the pictures of one of the weights, and I'm like, how the heck did they get that damn weight in that fish? It was so big.
Poor fish. Of course,
I mean,
they eat turtles and all kinds of things. You find, stuff down in bass's mouths, but that poor fish, I don't think he was going to be able to ever get rid of it. That would be the problem.
But well,
Not naturally.
bass fishermen aren't the only sportsmen. I don't know if you could call them sportsmen that are sticking metal stuff into animals that they catch or kill.
Wait, what? Who else is doing this?
Duck hunters.
Sticking metal. I mean, what are you talking about?
You didn't know that?
No, educate me. I ain't duck hunted in years and years and years, so educate me.
Well, it's going to be really quick, and you're going to pick up on it really fast. So,
okay.
As you know, when you go out duck hunting and you kill some ducks and the game wardens come and check, what are the things that they check? They check, have you got a license? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Have you killed more than you're supposed to kill? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And what did you shoot them with?
Oh, lead or not lead?
That's right. So there's some people that they're not as good a shot as other people, and so they'll still shoot lead, but then they keep a little bit of steel around. And
surely not. Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're stuffing them, but not for the same reason as you're doing, to make them heavier.
But it's kind of along the same lines as trying to, cheat. And that guy's got, it'll be a felony and all that because there's actually a Louisiana statute specifically for cheating in contests like that. So he'll get charged with that, I'm sure. If he hadn't, I'm sure he probably already has. Anyway.
Yeah. So, hey, I see in our notes we got a lot of information. I plugged some stuff in there in the Louisiana legislature. There's a bill kind of going on down there, but I think we ought to save that for Thursday and go in a little bit more detailed. And unless somebody watching the show that's tied in the legislature wants to talk about that particular bill, I think Chris Alexander and LeCag, they were on top of this, but it HB 856. So basically what y'all need to know is that here in the waning days of the session, there was a bill and an amendment that was put forward to basically enable your Secretary of State to have more power than even the governor or anybody should have to affect control of your elections, how they're managed, how it's conducted, and it gets into something that we used to really touch on early in our shows, Rex, election integrity, stuffing ballots and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah, and who can forget, when we stuffed a ballot, allegedly stuffed a ballot live on the show one night. So is that HB, what is that? Hold on, let me.
HB 856, and there's been some amendments on it. And what was interesting, the amendments that were put on it were amendments that were asked for by our new Secretary of State, Miss Landry. And
really,
those were amendments to give her basically unfettered power, no checks and balances. In fact, before the amendments, there were provisions in there that, things had to be basically checked off by the Attorney General. You had checks and balances. The legislature would even have a checks and balance. But with these amendments that she was advocating for, allegedly, I don't know, I haven't asked her point blank, but I'm told and have it on good authority that these were her amendments, but basically it's amending things to give her complete control. One person, no checks and balances. And
to be clear to everybody, she is not an appointed official. The Secretary of State is an elected official in Louisiana, right?
That's right. And so if anyone, I mean, look, if anyone wants to tag the Secretary of State, Nancy Landry, and Nancy would like to, call us or come on the show and dispel that she is trying to not have transparency in our elections, I would love to have the conversation with her. I'd love to talk about it. But I got to tell you, from what I'm reading, clearly, in my opinion, she's trying to not have a process that is as transparent as what it should be. And I got a problem with that. And I would love to have the debate with her. I like her. I respect her. But I don't think she's heading in the right direction here. Don't think she's heading in the right direction here.
Well, all right. So that's HB 856. And yeah, we may talk about that a little more Thursday evening on an edition of Louisiana Watch. Make sure, folks, if y'all haven't liked and followed or subscribed on YouTube, go do that. That's for Louisiana Watch after tonight's Bossier Watch. You know, we're doing all these watches everywhere. Anyway.
Yeah, and they're supposed to hear that bill this week. They were actually supposed to hear it in the legislature today on the House side regarding some of those amendments, but they didn't get to it. And so any day in the legislature, it's going to be passing through there. So y'all might want to call, you know, Adam Bass. You might want to call Dennis Bamberg or some of your different, you know, legislators and tell them what you think. You know, hey, you may not care. You may not care. You know, you may just want to throw your vote into the black box and hopefully it's like you know, hey, you remember like it was like that Yoda. Remember that Yoda thing when we were like young, you know, and it had that little ball on the inside and you would shake it up and you turn it
the magic 8 ball. Yeah.
Yeah, and it would pop up whatever, you know, it's kind of like your vote, you know, you just put your vote in there, you shake it up and we'll see what comes out of it.
Funny quick story, because otherwise we'll turn this into an outdoor news segment. But when I was younger and had gotten out of bass fishing, me and the boys were doing a lot of hunting and all that, and deer hunting and all that. But anyway, I had the boys convinced. I had one of those magic 8 balls, and I had them convinced that I could shake the magic 8 ball and it told me what stand to go to every day. And we usually killed deer and saw deer, and they were completely convinced the magic 8 ball worked up until they were about 10 years old.
I mean, look, that's how things become legend. It's just like that. Yeah. So what are we going to do? Are we going to talk about police jury, or are we going to talk about City of Bossier and Tommy Chandler trying to be there for 6 years a time? Where are we going to go?
Let's take on the police jury first, because I think we can get through that relatively quick, and then maybe the police department deal, and then the 6-year terms and all that will take a little bit longer. So I want to pick on the police jury for a little bit, because there are some interesting quotes.
Let's go to the police jury. Let's do that.
All right. So first of all, to kind of set this up, there's a fellow, Jim McCormick. He goes by Jimmer, is his nickname. Jimmer and Kim McCormick. And they live off Monica Lot Road. As a matter of fact, I interviewed them back in September 23 during the police jury race. And, you know, as most folks know, I was helping Barry Butler with his campaign a little bit and kind of supporting him. And so they wanted to sit down and have a chat with Barry and all that. Anyway, and got some very interesting insight into this. Now, I'm not an expert on this case, but we're going to kind of dive into it. So basically what it involves is, let me switch screens here and I'll show you the exact tract of land, because this is, you know, it's public record. So what we're talking about is off Monica Lot Road. So Monica Lot Road comes way down here and basically dead ends right there where you see that.
That's right there north of Stonehenge.
Yes, it is your favorite place. Those circles out there. Okay. So anyway, Monica Lot Road is right here, and basically it dead ends right about here where I've got the little finger pointing to. This MCMC Development LLC, you'll see referenced in this lawsuit. This is basically what they refer to as the McCormick tract. Okay, tract of land.
Okay, all right? I'm with you.
Well, the McCormicks have a house right about here where I'm pointing. And you can see they have a private drive that comes all the way in here. So this is the private drive, private road that's in dispute and kind of at the center of this particular lawsuit. And I hope I'm saying this closely enough. Mr. Barry Butler is in the comments. You can correct me, Barry, if I make some mistakes. Oh, and Barry says it happens to be right behind a police juror's house. Wonder who that could be. All right. So what's the lawsuit about? Well, why don't we just let the McCormicks tell us? Now, in full disclosure, I shot some video, and then the McCormicks decided that they didn't want to use that whole video during the campaign time period, and that's fine, and I absolutely respect that. So I'm just going to show about a minute of video that just restates in their words what the lawsuit is stating. All right, so let's hear it from them. It's about a minute long.
So by parish rules, laws, and standards, ordinances, we own more than an acre. We already have our services, and we touch a public road. There's no law or rule or ordinance that we don't meet other than they want our property given to them, not purchased from us, and they want us to bring the road up to standards in order for us to get a permit for a single dwelling on 120-something acres.
And we already live here. We've lived here since 2014.
Yes.
Yeah.
So right there where we're shooting that video, they live there.
So let me get this straight. What you're telling me is what they're saying is that they got this property and they're wanting to build themselves another house. They're not wanting to build some apartment complex. They're not wanting to build some bunch of condominiums. They're not wanting to build 100 houses in some subdivision. They're just wanting to build a house of their own on their own property. Am I right there?
Almost. It's even more interesting than that. The house is literally built. That's where they're sitting right now.
Wait a minute.
This is already built.
Okay. Oh,
They have one house that burned down. They rebuilt this house, and then through some ordinances that were passed in the parish, again, I'm no expert on it, back in 2008, they applied for their building permit or whatever, and that's kind of how this controversy got ginned up. But you're right. I don't know whether to call this blackmail or extortion, but here's the basic scenario, and we'll get to the documentation, is that the parish won't give them a permit for their new house, which is already built. All right, let's see. Barry Butler says they want to build a new house. Okay, so I guess they're going to build another one. All right, so to make sure that we're clear. But the parish won't give them a permit for the new house to replace the old house unless the McCormicks legally donate their private road to the parish. So the parish is literally trying to extort them out of their road, saying, we're not going to give you a permit unless you improve the road, spend, I think they said over $250,000 that the McCormicks have to spend to improve their road, then donate that to the parish, and then the parish might give them a permit for their house. Barry, have I got that pretty close to right?
Now, here's what's crazy, Rex. I literally this week had another conversation with some other residents of the parish with almost, as they were describing it to me, an almost exact duplicate scenario as what I'm hearing you describe here right now. What I'm hearing.
I wouldn't doubt it a bit.
Same circumstances almost.
Well, I mean, it's like, again, I'm going to use the term extortion scheme that the police jury is running. Literally, I mean, it's not just me saying that. I'm using the word extortion because can't think of a better word for it. But here in just a second, we're going to see what the appellate court ruled in the McCormicks' favor and what they actually said about this, so that it's not just us saying this.
Well, look, in all fairness, I got to be, okay, so what is the deal? Why would they say that? Why would the police jury go to that extreme? Why would they be able to go all the way? Is it simply about that they're wanting to, gain rights to property, and gain property. Is it that simple, or is it that they're, if they're thinking, okay, well, we got to be able to provide service. If they build a house there, we're going to have to provide service. I mean, what's the catch here? What am I missing? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
I don't know, because apparently whenever this fire happened or something happened, and they had to send a couple of fire trucks out there. First, the police jury, Butch Ford's excuse was, oh, well, they wouldn't be able to get services out there. But that's not the case, because they've already had a couple of fire trucks down this road as is without the improvements.
Yeah, but I call bull crap on that, because if that would come back to your insurance, if the insurance company saw that, okay, the fire trucks can't get out there, or say the fire plug is too far away to be able to support, any firefighting operation to defend the home, insurance, when they write the quote, should take that into consideration. That would be on their shoulders, not on the police jury,
Well,
I mean, what, you're telling me the police jury would lay a damn water line? No, they wouldn't lay a water line.
All right, so let's go through the lawsuit, and I'm going to post this on bossierwatch after the show. All right, and as Greg Bell just let us know, this was in our favorite place, the 26 JDC, under Judge Mike Craig. And usually Judge Mike Craig's, I don't know, not that bad of a guy. But anyway, so this is the appeals court. And you know the old saying, if you want justice, you got to get it out of the 26 JDC and get up to the appellate court and the Louisiana Supreme Court if necessary. We've seen that time after time. But this is... the Sinclair law firm is representing the McCormicks, and Neil Irwin's representing the appellee, none other than Butch Ford himself, in his official capacity as parish engineer or whatever. I don't know.
Wait a minute. You jumped ahead. Go back up. I saw a couple of more names.
Oh,
hang on a second.
Hold on. Let me switch pages. Whoops. Hold on. Let's see. Oh, let's see. Versus Joe more. Butch Ford. Oh, Bill Altimus. Oh, Jeremy Darby. Sorry, I missed that. And Carlotta Brown.
Those aren't the names I'm talking about. Go some more.
We got to go down.
Oh, before Stevens, Thompson, and Robinson.
Holy cow! Your favorite guy, Jeff Thompson.
Oh, good grief! This is going back. This is going back a little bit for me.
Yeah.
Are you telling me I'm fixing to have to talk nice about my old buddy Jeff Thompson?
Well, let's see. What was that a couple of shows ago? Those little birds with the feathers we were going to be eating a pie of, a plate of.
Old crow. Yeah, we didn't eat no old crow, did we?
Yeah. All right. So let's go through here, and I'm just going to run through this again. I'll post all this later. Y'all can y'all can take a look at it. Weston Marriott says, "Call it what it is, grift." That's a good word for it. But basically, there's your buddy Jeff Thompson writing for the appellate court. And he said the district court ordered the conditional approval of the building permit, which required the homeowners to either build a new driveway separate from the existing private road driveway, or to dedicate the existing private driveway to public use and construct the driveway to meet city and parish construction standards for a public street. Basically what you just heard the McCormicks say in that video.
So what happened?
Well, of course, the homeowners appealed to get it out of the 26 JDC, and the appellate court affirmed the part of the judgment requiring the issuance of the permit, but they reversed the portion of the judgment imposing any additional requirements on the homeowners. They also reversed the trial court's assessment of costs between the parties, and the appellate court assessed all court costs to the defendant police jury.
Dadgum.
Yeah, made them pay for it.
That is a pretty strong repudiation. So, I mean, I don't know. I got to say, look, I'm sorry. I just got to ask, where was Juliana in all this? Where the heck was she
paging
at?
Juliana? Well, I'll just
Wait a minute. No,
not say anything.
I already know the answer. I already know the answer. I don't have to say it, and I'm not going to spend all night talking about her. I mean,
It's like, where in the world was Carmen Sandiego? Where in the world was Juliana Parks? So we'll just leave it at that. Leave it to your imagination, Mr. Lauer, and everybody out there watching us. All nearly 90 people now. So anyway, the lawsuit goes back through the facts and procedural history that the McCormicks own approximately 128.75 acres known as the McCormick Tract, blah, blah, blah. And it goes through talking about the road. Let me see. Let me make sure. Let me zoom out here and make sure I don't miss anything because I highlighted a few choice parts that we're going to zoom in and take a look at. It just mentions here, I know it's hard to read, but Kim McCormick is the sole member of the MCMC LLC, which is the property in dispute. But it's kind of interesting right here because they get into the mandamus action. And then the McCormicks filed an amended and restated position against Butch Ford in his official capacity as parish engineer on behalf of the police jury. In 2008, an ordinance was passed that required homeowners to obtain a building permit from the police jury prior to building a home. Now that's important because there was a prescription period, apparently, for this of 5 years. And that's important in this timeline, okay? Because when the police jury tried to extort the property out of them, it was beyond the prescription period of 5 years. So let me try to summarize this with my Facebook legal experience. The McCormicks bought this tract of land, the McCormick Tract, and technically it didn't conform to this ordinance passed by the police jury. Okay, they got all the records filed with the clerk of court, and so everything rocked along until the McCormicks needed this permit, and then the police jury was using that as a wedge issue to try to extort this tract of land or this driveway into a road, an improved road.
I don't know. I got to tell you here. I mean, just it all comes down to the same old crap that government is trying to control so much of our lives every day in every way. And here you have, some respected folks that have been in our community for a long time. They bought a tract of land and they are just wanting to build a private residence. If they were wanting to build some big subdivision, like Stonehenge Part 2 or Stonehenge North, yeah, I could see the police jury needs to put their foot down on it. You need to kind of make sure that things are done right. But if these folks on their own land or want to build a house just for themselves, I mean, good grief. Why are you going to break their back over all this crap? I mean, if they want to go out there and put a widget garden, they should be able to do it.
And there was apparently some testimony that there were some exceptions made for some other landowners. It seems, reading through this, that they were just picking on the McCormicks for whatever reason. So I just put in the comments, I'll encourage everybody watching to tag your favorite police juror on this show. See what their response to the McCormick lawsuit is. All right.
So they were giving them the tombstone treatment.
Basically, yes.
Listen here, Law Dog. Law don't go around here.
All right, so Kim McCormick testified that, or she stated that she was told by the Bossier Parish Police Jury that they would have to give up the private drive to the parish or the parish would refuse to give them a building permit. Again, you're right, Marriott. Grift is a good term for this. Extortion, blackmail, whatever you want to call
it. Submit.
Yield.
The beatings will continue until you submit.
Exactly. All right.
Bossier Parish way.
Yeah. All right. Now this is fun here. So let's go through this real quick. So Ford testified that in his opinion, during the 6 years of McCormick's owned the McCormick Tract, before seeking a building permit, there was no way for the police jury to know that the tract was part of an illegal drug. Oh, I'm sorry. Wrong case. An illegal split out.
What?
It's like they
Okay.
didn't know that, they were running a drug operation or something out there. No, it was an illegal split out, which is part of the public record. How could the police jury not know this? That's literally what they get paid to do. And we're not talking about the police jurors that don't make much money for sitting up there doling out the ordinance like they want. We're talking about the highly paid, parish engineer type people. Butch Ford type people, that can't tell the difference between Bossier Parish and Caddo Parish and improved and unimproved property. But, we digress back to a couple of shows ago.
Look, you've got two contractors sitting up there on the board. You've got engineers, a couple of lawyers that are steering everything up there and wanting to determine who's, the winners and losers on, subdivisions and roads and properties and zoning and all this crap. And you're telling me they don't know that they're pleading ignorance?
Well, you know what the problem is?
They didn't know?
You know what the problem is, dude?
I find that hilarious.
Now
Philip Rogers' place is on Swan Lake Road.
Well, but he hasn't got Manchac's hooks into the police jury yet. Now he got helped get Manchac's hooks into the Cypress district, I guess, and that's running like a well-oiled machine now. So see, they just needed Ruttenbuck to come save the day.
Yeah. I'm wondering if Manchac did that pier for Philip.
Should have phoned a friend, and that friend should have been Ruttenbuck. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right. So on cross-examination, Ford admitted that the illegal subdivisions are made a part of the public record when they are recorded with the parish. Ford stated that he has a small office and it is not feasible for his staff to discover all these split outs when they're so overwhelmed with figuring out should he live in Caddo or Bossier Parish to be legal. Although he did admit...
What?
I'm sorry, that wasn't really in the...
What did I was following along like everybody else, and
I made it sound believable. I just can't resist.
I did. I was reading. I said, "Wait a minute, he skipped a sentence or something."
Okay.
I missed something.
Although Ford did admit that he was able to get a stack 18 inches high of illegal split outs from the parish tax assessor's office when he requested that they be pulled. Ford testified this. Question.
Oh, what? Wait a minute. Was that when the tax assessor's office was too busy out taking pictures, and so they were delayed out off of Bistineau Camp Road or something? It had to have been along the same timeline.
This is like the Hatfields and the McCoys, and the McCormicks got caught in the middle.
I'm catching up here now. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So this is part of the testimony. So question. So you've testified in today that the only way that you have to figure out and become aware of split outs is through building permit applications. That's not accurate, is it? And in my best Butch Ford voice, well, I mean, we could go through and look at everything that's filed, but that's not been our procedure. We have to rely on them to do their job, but then the building permits are now catching them. So even though there's other mechanisms available to you to find out about split outs, the mechanism that you rely on is building permits. Yes, sir. So, it's kind of one of those, they turn a blind eye to them unless they need to use it to extort somebody.
I don't know what to say. I mean, look, when is the police jury going to change their ways? I don't think that they are.
Anytime
Not
soon.
until the folks out here that are watching this show, they tell their friends, and they all offer suggestions to people to run, and they get out and do something to try to elect people that, I don't know. I don't know what to say.
Well, all right. So to go on a little further, the McCormicks had introduced at trial evidence of numerous instances of split out tracts being sold and building permits being issued that mirror their situation. Among those identified was the 2014 building permit issued to the McCormick's neighbor, Ken Lowry. no relation to you, different spelling, who owns property off the private driveway and who sought a building permit from the Bossier Parish Police Jury. So in other words, I don't know what the McCormicks did to piss off the police jury, but they must have done something to make them mad. And, well, again, they were extorting, grifting, whatever term you want to use.
Okay, well, I gotta play devil's advocate here. Go back up to that now.
All right, hold on.
Okay, go back up here a second. I gotta ask a question here.
Okay.
So, instances of split out tracks being sold and building permits issued that mirror the situation, and so the McCormick's neighbor, Ken Lowry, owns property. So the McCormicks didn't sell the property to Ken Lowry. Somehow or another, Ken Lowry bought property that adjoins the McCormicks, and he got a building permit.
Apparently so.
So, and that's you're not going to know the answer.
Know.
But that's I would want to know that. I would want to know, did the Lowrys buy the property, no relation to me, did they buy the property from the McCormicks, and was the McCormicks subdividing? I think that I gotta take a step back and say, okay, look, if we're dividing property up like building a subdivision out there,
I don't quote me on this because I don't know enough about it. Barry Butler says probably from John Good, so I do not think that they were subdividing, that the McCormicks were subdividing their property. Maybe incorrect about that.
Well, I don't know. Boy,
he says here, Lowry never submitted the road dedication. Well, this is even better. All right. Lowry's, again, no relation to y'all, Lowry's building permit was granted on November 21st, 2014, with the stipulation that he had 90 days to get a public dedication of the private driveway. Lowry never submitted the road dedication, and the police jury never took any action to enforce the stipulation.
Now, wait a minute. Didn't I read, don't I remember us on this show, we were talking about, and I'm thinking, if I recall correctly, maybe it was something to do with the Consolidated Waterworks Sewer District, about them condemning people's property or something of that nature if they didn't go along with the parish or they didn't do certain things. I'm just wondering.
Like I remember something like that.
I do remember there was some situation in the parish where they were treating people in the parish and threatening condemnation of their property and their house. Oh, wait a minute. It was something to do with if they didn't, it was something to do with their sewer or their water. I'm going to have to go back and find that, but there was definitely something with the parish threatening to condemn people's property if they didn't go along with them.
Once I get our show notes all consolidated and really searchable, we'll be able to dig back through and see that kind of stuff. I remember us talking about that, but I can't remember the whole deal on it. All right. So, moving along, I'm going to skip a couple of pages here, but listen to this. This is, just damning condemnation of the police jury coming up. So, the court ultimately found, the district court, that the Bossier Parish police jury does not have a reasonable ability to research every filing with the Bossier Parish Clerk of Court to determine compliance by individual property owners. So, in other words, the 26 JDC says the police jury can't do research.
Well, they want to approve and charge everybody in the whole parish for everything. Why can they not?
Well, the appellate court...
They want to check from everybody.
Yeah, the appellate court says, we disagree. It is apparent from the record and from testimony that the police jury has set up the issuance of building permits as an effective, quote, choke point, unquote, to enforce subdivision regulations when purchasers must submit themselves to the arduous and expensive undertaking of obtaining permission from the Bossier Parish Police Jury to build on these, quote, illegal subdivision of tracts, close quote. a choke point. That's the appellate court saying it, not me and Mr. Duke Lowry saying it.
Well, I got to tell you, I think their description is dead on. I think the appellate court, I have to say, Jeff Thompson, he was dead on the money, because that would be what I would describe it as. And I mean, I think that's what they've been doing. I don't think
get that plate of feathers ready, Mr. Duke Lowry.
I don't think it's been any secret that's what they're doing.
Oh, wow. So here we go. I'm going to skip on up now. It says, although enforcement of the illegal subdivisions may be onerous for the police jury, to say that prescription does not begin to run until such time as the parish decides it would like to investigate violations does not comport with Louisiana law. So the police jury was trying to say that their prescriptive period didn't run until they applied for the permit. And the appellate court is saying, no, that's not the way the law works. According to Louisiana law, it runs from the time that they purchased the land or took whatever action and it was filed with the clerk of court's office. So, no, police jury, you don't get to decide when the prescription period starts.
Wow.
Yeah. And it gets better. It gets better. We're almost there. So, let me find this. This is, I think, probably, yeah, this is the best one here. So let me zoom in on this. And this will start wrapping this part of it up. But folks, I want y'all to listen to this. This is not me and Duke Lowry talking about the good old boys and putting on our tinfoil hats. This is the appellate court. This is Jeff Thompson, of all folks, saying this as part of the appellate court. As such, the parish cannot require the McCormicks to have a plat approved by the police jury, dedicate a minimum width for a street right-of-way, bring the street up to minimum parish standards, dedicate the street to the public, or other requirements set forth in the subdivision ordinances. To allow the trial court to force parish subdivision standards on the McCormick tract when the police jury allowed its right to enforce those standards to prescribe would be authorizing an unconstitutional taking of the McCormick's property rights. Unconstitutional taking. Therefore, the trial court's conditions placed on the McCormick's building permit are not authorized by law. So there you go, folks. Your Bossier Parish Police Jury and favorite police jurors have all been a part of an unconstitutional taking attempt of the McCormick's property. How about that, Mr. Lowry? And
I am quickly trying to research something because there is something that just popped up on my radar that I'm going to have to validate. And I hate to be being the bad guy here, but if this
the appellate court's wrong?
No. Maybe there's a conflict here. Interesting about Thompson. I'm not going to say what was sent to me until I can confirm it.
Okay.
We'll come back to that later.
Okay. Possible breaking news or rumors, as the case may be. All right. So to kind of wrap this up, the appellate court said, we likewise reverse the trial court's assessment of court costs and assess all costs to Butch Ford in his official capacity as parish engineer for Bossier Parish, Louisiana. Costs of this appeal in the amount of $430 are assessed to Joe E. Butch Ford in his official capacity as parish engineer, or for Bossier Parish. So,
well, it looks like the police jury took a thumping on that one, but I don't think that'll stop them from, going after the next person or standing in the way of the next person or trying to step on them. I mean, I think they'll probably continue on, and you know what? Not everybody has the money to fight everybody all the way through the judicial system, but I got to say that case from the Second Circuit bodes well for people going against the 26 JDC.
Yeah, it does. Christopher James Norris says, hasn't Jeff Sadow been reporting on the Bossier Parish Police Jury illegal activities and action for a while now? Yes, he has, and well, so have we. And this is just another example. But you're right, Duke. They're playing with other people's money, all our tax dollars collectively. And so, who knows? They may appeal this to the Supreme Court. Who knows?
I don't know. We'll see. So, you know, here recently, you know, we kind of went to the mat about, you know, Bossier City and the police officers and their pay, and they've been real vocal. They've gotten some billboards and they put some stuff out there, and you know, as everybody knows, you know, look, I don't think you need any staff study or salary study to know that Bossier City Popo, they ain't paid right, hadn't been, but. What are kind of actually the numbers? Well, apparently this past week, you know, it was brought to our attention that the elected officials in Bossier, that they were given, you know, they were sent a couple of things, and they've had the salary numbers, or the study or whatever. They've had it here for, I don't know, a week or two, what we were told, and you know, they've been talking about it, but they've taken no action as of yet. And
Right.
supposedly in the last few days, there's been some letters and some information shot out. Well, we got a hold of that and wanted to just share that during the show for folks, keep y'all informed. And I think that first one, Rex, the Bossier FOP salary.
Yeah, let's see. That's cut 30, I think, Bossier FOP salary. Let's see. Maybe this one. Maybe it's cut 31. I don't know. We'll find out. All right. That the one you're talking about first?
Yeah, that one right there. So, you know, here is one of the informational thing that was sent to your elected officials in Bossier regarding salaries in Louisiana, and as how Bossier City looks in comparison to kind of what you know, these other average, these entities, you know, ZipRecruiter, salary.com, Gov Salaries, you know, and then just the Southern average at 45,000. And Bossier City Police at 37,000. I mean, y'all tell me, do y'all really want your officers having to make the decision of whether they're going to not that they would. I mean, I know these people, but I'm just saying, do you want them having to contemplate or have on their mind that, you know what, I'm going to go above and beyond and risk my life for, I'm not even at the Southern average. I'm like way below the Southern average. Do you even want them to have that thought in their mind? Is that when you need them? Is that what you want?
Let me do something a little contrary. So I often hear people say that they don't aspire to be a fireman or a police officer because they know they get paid what they deserve. It's you know, kind of like you hear sometimes people say they don't become a teacher for the pay, you know. And so I'm just saying, from that perspective, I would honestly like to know, again, from some of our law enforcement friends that watch the show or whatever, or their families or spouses, let us know, does that really register in your mind when you're going to become or aspire to be a Bossier police officer? Does that really register in somebody's mind? I understand the point you're trying to make, Duke, and I completely agree, but I'm just saying, does that really register in somebody's mind?
Well, let me put it this way. Let's say, for instance, you were somewhere in Bossier and you had a need for a law enforcement officer to come and show up to help you or to support you. Do you want the lowest paid guy who, you know, may or may not care because he's disgruntled about his pay? Or do you want a guy who feels like he's appreciated, who feels like he's compensated for putting it on the line? And incidentally, how many of y'all would put it on the line for that.
Well, hell, let's be completely honest here. It's not even putting it on the line necessarily. It's just dealing with the public in general that they usually have to deal with. I mean, that in itself is worth more money.
David, yeah, a fella's got to make a living, but is a living putting yourself out there in front and center to, risking it? Is it worth that? I mean, no, it's not. And if I need these guys, I damn sure don't want these guys showing up, that's only making $37,000 a year.
Yeah,
I don't want them worried about that. I don't want them worried about that at all.
You make a good point, and not just that. I mean, let's even go to another, scenario. The firefighters usually get cheered on by the public, but the cops, not always so much, unless you really need them. The cops, the cops usually take the brunt of the bad publicity, and the firemen get to be the heroes all the time.
Well, that's right. I mean, look, let's face it. In all walks of life, we have good people and we have bad people. I mean, there's bad people in the tech industry. There's bad people in the mortgage industry. There's crooked realtors. There's crooked builders. There's crooked,
absolutely,
politicians. There's crooked police, crooked firemen. There's bad people in everything that you have. But the thing is, people that are going to, let's say, high achievers, you're not going to get high achievers at paying them the lowest. You're not going to get it. You're not going to get people. I mean, you're basically saying if you're going to take this job, it's going to be simply because you love sticking your life out there for as little as possible, and you
make a good point.
No, that's not how that should work. And the bigger question is right here at the end, elected officials. I mean, this is how they view public safety in Bossier Parish.
Well, but wait a minute, Duke. We're forgetting, though, those millages just passed. I mean, that was a resounding, directive from the voters that they support our city councilmen and they support police and fire. And so everybody's, I'm sure the ink's, getting ready to be put on the paper for all the raises that are fixing to be doled out. Isn't that basically what we were told?
Well, we already in another show said that we understood that the local elected officials in Bossier had no intentions of doing anything until next year regarding pay for all these guys. They already know the answer. I mean, they already know it for sure, but they had no intention of doing things. So why would they wait if they already know they're underpaid and public safety is suffering? Why would they wait until next year? Well, newsflash for everybody. It's election season.
Oh, ding, 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 ding. Well, and not just that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm trying to remember. We are short X number of officers for the police force. They can't get them hired. They can't get them recruited, whatever the deal is. So in other words, they've budgeted for, I'm going to pick a number. They've budgeted for 50, but we only have about 31 or 32 seems like the number that sticks out in my head. I could be completely wrong on that. All right. And why can't, we've talked about this in other shows, why can't they take that money and pass an ordinance, pass legislation, an ordinance or whatever, and up the salaries? Why can't they just do it? It would literally take the stroke of a pen and a couple of readings at a city council meeting.
Well, I really don't want to go down this road of cynicism, but it just is more of the same about government in general and the people that we elect, and I don't blame them. They're just doing what they do. But I'm sorry, it's all of us, because we don't do anything. We don't get out and we're not active. And
no, we listen to two guys on a podcast on Tuesday nights get on their soapboxes, and then we don't do anything else.
and we just rail about it, and which I guess it's entertaining, and everybody just laughing at us, and they're having a good time with us. I'm sorry,
Hell,
griping
Duke,
about
we're
things.
part of the problem, not the solution. I've just realized that.
Well, you're making some little sense, but James Dooley, that's my good buddy Mike. Anyway, he says, Duke, when we were there, we did it because we loved it. The attitude has changed with the young people. Mike, you're right, but you're wrong. You're right in that, we did it because we loved it. We did love it. But here was the thing. There's a difference. And I want to make sure people understand this. When I was there and Mike was there and a lot of us, the older heads, back in the days and the police that were there, the days of the Violas and all the old school people. I mean, when we did it, we took those jobs and right out of the gate, they would say, you know what? You're not going to make a lot of money. But here's the thing, the all the other things you're going to be taken care of. Your health insurance, you had good insurance. You didn't have to worry about it. You wasn't going to get rich. You wasn't going to make a lot of money, but you were going to have good insurance and you were going to have the best of retirements. Well, guess what? I mean, the retirements from all of us that were there, we had pretty good retirements and we had good health insurance. But now all of the new guys, the young people that are there, they've got crappy retirements and they have the highest of insurance that's out there, some of the highest around. And look, I'll give you an example. Y'all tell me, everybody be an example. I'm in the back of an ambulance, and back in the day, there was no way you could not get needle sticks. It just happened. I mean, I got needle sticks from myself, from people. God knows what they had. And I don't know whether something's going to happen to me a month from now as a result of that. Guys breathe stuff in from fires, smoke inhalation or whatever. Is that going to turn cancerous at some point? I mean, all for, you're not going to make a lot of money, but you're going to have good health insurance. Well, the only thing I got out of it now is I got a decent retirement, but I damn sure don't have health insurance. And these guys that are going through this now, they're getting low pay and poor retirement and poor health insurance. And I'm not saying that regular folks that don't have a fire or police job, I'm not saying that you don't have sucky insurance too or sucky retirement. I'm not saying you don't. But what I am saying, a lot of folks, y'all are not being asked to go out there and stand in front of a bullet or to put a bullet down range and hope like hell it hits the bad guy and not a good person, and then you own it for life. Or that you go in a fire and you inhale some carcinogen that's going to turn into cancer 15 years down the road, or a tumor in your head, and you're going to kill over and die for what? Minimum freaking wage? And because you love the job? I'm sorry. Just
yeah.
I'll stop.
You bring up very valid points. So here's this letter. Now, this is from the Fraternal Order of Police Lodge 39. Now, do we know, did this letter actually get sent to the councilman?
Yeah, as my understanding, it got sent to the councilman, it got sent to the mayor, that everybody in an elected position, I think even the police and the fire chief got it.
So I'll read it for those of you that are visually challenged on mobile or just listening to the audio podcast version. It says, the Bossier FOP Lodge number 39 have partnered with the Bossier City Police Union Local 645 in a pay raise campaign to raise awareness for how little our officers get paid. We understand that there is a staff salary study going on with the city, but this should not apply to civil service or public safety. The salaries of these employees are readily available online. Our members feel this is just kicking the can down the road. We sent you a monthly income of other agencies in our area and how Bossier City Police are last in pay. What is your plan to pay our officers and keep the ones that we have?
So David Womack, by the time this show is over, there won't be 20 officers left in Bossier City. No, you see, that's what's wrong, is because the politicians in Bossier, they know that the officers in Bossier, they love Bossier City, and that's what they take advantage of. They know, a lot of them they've lived lifelong residents of Bossier. They were born here, they were raised here. They're loyal to Bossier. They love Bossier. Is that because of that? Should they be, get substandard pay and treatment and have to work 2 or 3 jobs to sustain themselves or live a decent life? No, that's bull crap. It's bull crap. And the politicians take advantage of that. They have.
Well, don't worry. They'll be able to do it 6 years at a time, as we're going to talk about here in just a little bit. Anyway, continuing on with the letter, we have several officers looking at other agencies due to the pay being so low. It is difficult to compete when we are the lowest in pay. Gonzales Police Department, with a population of approximately 13,000 people, start out at around $51,000 a year. After your first year at BCPD, with state pay included, we don't come close to that. Our members feel abandoned and are frustrated. The city wanted us to speak out about the last millage and how it has to pass, or there would have been possible cuts, etc. So we went out and got our family and friends to vote in this renewal. The renewal passed, and we still get just the crumbs. Wait a minute. They're getting the pens warmed up, guys. They're getting the ink ready. I'm sure, they're just waiting for the right moment to give everybody those pay raises that they alluded to with those millages. All right. Continuing with the letter, though. Where is our help when we need it? How many times does a city councilman or city official complain about a problem and Bossier PD jumps through hoops and makes it a priority? Our investigators, our patrol officers put your problem to the top of the list. It is public safety not a priority in Bossier City? There are rumors of a possible pay increase in January 2025. Once again, we wait and hope something happens next year. Yeah, because those rumors so easily pay the electric bill. Did you know that SWEPCO has started taking rumors of pay raises as payment? Did you know
I
that,
had
Mr.
not
Lamb?
known that, but I got to tell you, I'm going to chip into. Do they have a rumor hotline?
I think they do. They enacted that. It's part of the whole move to solar, and now they've got the rumor hotline, and you can make payment arrangements via the rumor mill.
How much you want to bet the number goes out to the port? I bet
It probably does.
That's probably where it goes. Yeah.
All right, so back to the letter. Also, wanting to give a pay increase citywide makes sense due to it being an election year. Ding, 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 ding. Why is public safety not important in this city? This across-the-board pay raise is a problem. You're lumping public safety with the other city employees. No one says that the city employees don't deserve a raise, but we are well below the average. There is also not enough difference to pay increases between the ranks, and officers are turning down promotions due to it. We need a percentage pay raise. We're currently 20% below the southern average of pay. Hey, they must have been listening to you, dude. For police officers, our members will be heard. Uh-oh. It didn't say might. It says will. That's pretty close to shall. How about we set the standard when it comes to paying these deserving officers and not just try to keep up with the Joneses? We are more than willing to meet with any councilman at any time to discuss a serious situation. We look forward to hearing from you. Says, quote, I don't care what anyone says. Good people get tired of being good to ungrateful people. Sincerely, Bossier Fraternal Order of Police, Lodge number 39, Executive Board. Sounds like they big mad.
Well, I'll tell you, I don't know. I can't understand why they're bringing the Joneses in there. I mean, is David in the watching? I mean, why are they bringing up the Joneses? I don't get
Well,
that.
we talked about the Lowrys. Now we're mentioning the Joneses. I mean, come on.
Oh, yeah, okay. So I guess we're gonna hit all the families in Bossier tonight. But
let's see. Let me hold that thought for a second. So let's read this comment from Wes Marriott because he's the next Bossier cop, he says, I studied this extensively in 2016 when I advocated for a pay raise the first time. I just want to point out that a 1-year dispatcher in Bossier City makes more than a 1-year officer. The pay scale for police is completely off.
Well, I mean, look, everybody, and regardless of how you say, because there's a lot of people, they don't like Popo. I mean, look, I don't like Popo. When if they pull me over, I don't like Popo. Who likes them? But
you don't like them till you need them.
But you don't like them until you need them. And when the crap more naturally hits the fan, I mean, look, I want, if I'm going to need one of them guys, I want one of them that's going to come there. He's going to be able to work. He's going to be able to handle up on things. And he's not going to hesitate about handling up on things because he's going to say, okay, wait a minute. Yeah, I'm the lowest paid in the state of Louisiana. No, you know what? I'm going to drag my feet a little bit. Or, hey, no, I'm paid well. I'm a professional.
Look.
By gosh, I'm going to handle up on this. That's the thinking I want.
All right. So here's something, there is a deal, and I say this and it always stirs up some controversy, but according to the Supreme Court of the United States, police officers, as well as firefighters for that matter, have no duty to protect. Don't believe me, you can go research that. They have no duty to protect. Now, what that means is legally, they don't have to proverbially take a bullet for you. They don't have to. There's no, now I'm not saying that they won't. I'm not saying that's not Bossier City Police Department policy, but they have no duty to protect, according to SCOTUS.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but do you see that crap Mike Dooley's saying from over a mile away, saying they suck at shooting? That's just not right to say they suck at shooting when you're standing a mile away. That's like, what was his name? Not George Carlin. George Carlin.
Right.
Now, some of y'all close your ears because I'm going to use a cuss word here, but I'm repeating what George Carlin said. He was a comedian, famous
put
comedian.
your fingers in yours if you're underage.
Yeah. George Carlin said, you know what? He said, you can tell how much of an asshole somebody is by the distance they are away from you.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, Mike's standing back there with his rifle from a mile away. Anyway, okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So anyway, my point being that you're what I was getting to, Duke, was your point that you don't want some guy second guessing because he's, the lowest paid on the totem pole. You're right. You don't want some guy thinking, well, I don't really have a duty to protect. Do I really want to jump into this, shootout situation?
Yeah. Does he show up and he's a little lethargic because he had to work an extra shift, to be able to make his car note or his, house note or whatever, because his pay is substandard, I mean, you don't want him to, and he's a little hesitant. You don't want people to be hesitant in this. I mean, I remember when I went through post training and they said, speed kills. And you're right. Speed does kill. And you need these guys to be sharp. You don't need these guys to be lethargic, and you need them to be on their A game when they come to work, and they need to be ready to go. You need them squared away. And we're not sending guys out there squared away. We're sending guys out there in a bad situation, and it's only a matter of time before we're going to pay the consequence of it. And it's the elected officials in Bossier that are doing it.
And so there's also moonlighting, but all you fire department guys have like all the lawn care businesses wrapped up. So, I mean, what are the Bossier cops supposed to do? They can't go to lawn care to make extra money because, well, the fire department guys have that market cornered. I say that in jest.
No, and I challenge any of y'all out there that are going to be critical of these cops. I want you to go put on a vest. I want you to put on, the belt and the gun and the extra magazines and all the gear. And I want you to just go do it one time. I mean, it doesn't look like it's a lot, but I'm going to tell you, it is a lot. It'll put you to a test.
And then have to deal with the typical people that they have to deal with. Anyway,
wait a minute,
all right.
Let me say something. I don't know that there's anybody on that council that could carry that load and do it.
I know a few of them that would be even more red-faced than they already are.
Anyway.
All right. So the next two topics, Manchac for everything and 6-year terms, are kind of related. So let's go down this rabbit hole because we haven't talked about the Charter Commission in quite a few shows because they've kind of been on the back burner.
They have been on the back burner, and I might have to eat some crow on this one because I think at one of their meetings I said that they weren't going to be successful about getting a damn thing done. But I will say they are being led, and all you have to do is watch the most recent Charter Commission meeting, and you can see the Assistant City Attorney, Richard Ray, is, for the most part, he might as well be chairing the thing because he is leading it full steam ahead. And he articulated.
Is he trying to get right with God or what?
I didn't say he was leading it in a good way. I just said he was leading it.
Just want to make sure.
So we got the video, and we also, they were working off of a document full of recommendations, and they kept using the terminology that they had consensus. And there's a little bit of stuff in here for everybody. Like, look, the police department, y'all are going to the dogs, whether you know it or not. You're going to the dogs, and we're going to show that here in a minute. Fire department, y'all are in here because the life. Y'all got the life. Term limits, we got term limits in here.
Well,
contracting, every department in the city. So if any of y'all out there are aspiring, government pigs, and you want to feed at the trough, we got something for you in here. We're going to enlighten you. So pay close attention. And
this sounds interesting because I haven't. In full disclosure, you'll have to put your saddle on and carry me through this part of the show, Duke, because this will be my first time listening to this as well.
Well, let me pull up the video, because I don't. Well, anyway, you go ahead. So
yeah, all right. So we'll just start at the 1749 mark, which is Lee Jeter speaking basically to every district. Is that where you want to start?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, just tell me when to stop.
Mr. Jeter, I know you wanted to make a comment.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. I feel strongly that when we do have a charter commission, I do believe there should be representation from every district, and we still have a district that feels like they have not had a voice to speak for them, for their district, during this particular charter commission meetings that we've been having. And I don't disagree with them. And therefore, to be totally representative of all of the citizens of this city, I think someone from every district should be represented on this body.
Okay. Richard,
so you can stop it there. I mean, basically, there were some shots thrown at the very beginning, and I think it was our friendly Colonel Crockett, that made a point in the beginning and maybe the opening statements, and but Jeter was basically honing in on that there's some people that are not happy with the Charter Commission because there is one district in particular in the city that's not represented in this district, and the reason being is that the councilmen all appointed people, and there was one district of the city that had no appointment.
Very interesting. Do we know offhand what district that was? Is Colonel Crockett in the comments?
I
don't mean to catch you off guard because, in full disclosure, like I said, I didn't watch this meeting yet. So maybe if we can figure that out, I can kind of take a general guess about where that district would be. But they do have some at-large representation, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so one of the things is so while they're having this meeting, they're going over countless recommendations, and I am having some difficulty getting myself organized here. Countless recommendations that I was trying to determine where these recommendations come from. It wasn't like they were trying to hide them, but they were all working off of a list of recommendations, and
Yeah. So Colonel, while you're doing that, Colonel Crockett says 2 districts, Williams and Darby, and of course, West Marriott said Don Williams' district.
Yeah, Darby was the one I was thinking, but I see I didn't even know that Williams was. So what I'm thinking that we need to do, Rex, I think we need to go to the document that they're working off of, because folks are going to want to see, as they're going through this, they're going to want to see, I think, what it is they're looking at and what it is they're talking about, because they're talking about sending things to the parking lot. And when they say send things to the parking lot, what they're meaning is that they're not going to accept and that issue or that item, and that they will vote on it or decide it at a later date, is what they're trying to say. But there's other items in here that they're deeming as there being consensus. Now, when I hear the word consensus, I'm thinking that all of them up there on the Charter Commission, are agreeing, or that they're all in agreement on what is going forward, what they're talking about and what they're planning to do and move forward with. But I don't think that's the case. When they are saying that this is a consensus item, what they're saying is it's a consensus among the councilman and or the mayor as to this thing going forward, is what I believe is happening here. So basically what's happened, while this is a charter commission that is supposed to be making the determinations themselves on rewriting, provisions of the charter and or the whole charter itself, I'm getting the feeling that that's not what's happening. Is that basically, at the lead of the city attorney, Richard Ray, and you all can make your decision when Rex hits play on the video, you make your decision of who's making all these determinations. I mean, I think the council and the mayor and Richard Ray, they've gotten together, and Richard Ray's leading it, and they're making a determination.
All right. So do you want me to just go ahead and hit play from where we left off, correct?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Oh, hold on. Let me get us some audio here.
202, under 1, where it talks about each city council shall appoint one person from their district to the commission. Can we add the language from their district?
I was trying to get to it on my tablet here. 21, what part?
I'm on page 76 of the handout for tonight. 22, as you know, is the new section. We do recommend that the Charter Review Commission meet every 12 years, if I'm not mistaken. Again,
okay, go ahead and stop that.
No, I think it was every 10
years. Stop that. And I'm going to go to page 6 on our document here.
Yeah, let's go ahead and go there. Let's go to page 6. So starting at page 6, 7, and 8, and 9 will be the first, kind of the first shots out of the gate. And if you'll see on the right-hand side of the screen, I think this first page is page 6. And the way they have these documents that they're going through, which is the city charter, they've got the edits and they have them numbered. And on this first page is, scroll back up on that page just a hair, Rex. It's kind of cut off at the top of the screen. You see there version B. There's actually a version A, B, and then there's like C, D, and F. There's several of them. But on this particular page, you've got term limits, and this is term limits in regards to the city council. And it's talking about the composition of the council, how they're elected, and the elections. And in this particular example, they've got term limits on the council at 4-year terms, without retro. Retro meaning that if the councilmen have already served 3 4-year terms, they could continue to keep on serving. There's no retroactivity. I mean, so if they've already served 3 terms of 4 years apiece, they could do another 3 4-year terms for a total of 24 years of being a councilman. I mean, let's not forget that the majority of them already have 20 years,
Right.
but this would enable them to do another 12 years.
Hey, they could get to 40 years of public service and dedication to the public and taxpayers at large.
That's right. And this particular one also, it makes the first change that a lot of you may or may not have heard, which is changing the composition of the at-large council seats, meaning they're going to divide the at-large seats. So as it is right now, when you go to vote for your council, you will vote for the at-large seats, and there will be kind of like a jungle election where you'll have everybody that wants to be an at-large councilman will all throw their name in the hat. And I think in the last election, there were maybe four names that were put in there. And the top vote getters, the top 2 vote getters would be the at-large councilman. Well, they're making a change to break that up to where you would have like a Division A and a Division B, 2 separate at-large council elections, at 2 separate times. And it would be an election where you could have, let's say me and you, Rex, we wanted to run for councilman at large if I lived in the city. And let's say you won. Well, then in the next year or the next 2 years, they had council at large Division B. I could run again in 2 years. It would just kind of split it up. I'm kind of indifferent on that. I don't know on that one. So that's not the biggest deal. But so then you go to page 7, and then you have term limits under the existing structure with retro, meaning that if anybody has already served, 12 years, they couldn't run again, and it has the division at the at-large. But then when you go to page 8, you've got a big change right here. Term limits without retro, division of the at-large seats, but a change in the terms.
6-year terms for at-large.
Correct. They're changing it to, rather than it being 4-year terms, to 6-year terms.
Now, just for the at-large seats?
Well, they actually go ahead. No, that's for all of the council seats. And ultimately, and we'll get to it, they do the exact same thing for the mayor's race. They're throwing that out there too. The mayor will get.
Hence the title of the show, 6 Years of Tommy.
Now, they haven't decided on which one of these. As I explained earlier, they have parking lotted this, which means that they're going to vote on this later. So as frequently as they have put this 6-year term thing in here, here's what I suspect may be going to happen. And I'm already getting somebody messaging me saying I am wrong. They're saying that it's not 6 years for all of the councilmen. It's 6 years only for the at-large.
Well,
4 years.
According to this page.
For the districts.
Okay. So we know somebody's paying attention out there.
Somebody's paying attention. And it may be right, but either way, the thing is it's not the retro. They are not going to go for the retro. They're not going to do that. All this is smoke and mirrors, and if they have to change it, they're going to enable some of these cats to be in here as long as they want to be in here till the day they die. We're gonna have to roll them out on a gurney.
And refresh my memory. It has been a while since I have focused on the Charter Commission at all. So you or maybe Colonel Crockett or somebody in the comments, correct me. Doesn't the Charter Commission make recommendations to the City Council, which the City Council that can then accept or not?
Yeah, we will get to that page. I have that marked off here. They're even making changes to that, but they make the recommendations. They send them to the council, and then the council puts them on puts them on the ballot for everybody to be able to vote on it.
Oh,
And they
Colonel
can do
Crockett
it.
says no.
Well, they can do it by individual changes, or, and I'll be honest with you, where I read the part, and we're going to get to it and we'll show everybody and y'all can read it and you can make your own determination as to how it reads. But, and Richard Ray formed all this up in the notes on the right. You know, it says how the last two charter commissions were done, that the whole charter was voted on, amended charter was voted on in totality by everybody.
Yeah, it was an all or none deal, correct?
Yeah, and it's kind of like the petition type thing. I mean, if a petition or this charter commission thing goes, the council's like automatically got to kind of put this thing out there to the people for a vote. I mean, I doubt they're going to go hiring that law firm to did the charter commission do this or do that. Although I will say, I have heard words or heard some discussion about that some of the activity of the charter commission has not been in compliance, and that the potential for litigation to block the this thing going to a ballot the same way they did the petition is highly likely already.
Well, imagine that. I mean, I'm just color me shocked, Mr. Lowry.
I hear you. I hear you. So let's jump forward. That's the gist of the term limits and the retro. You won't, folks, you're not going to get retro. These people are not going to do it. That's the whole reason you're even having a charter commission, is because of all of us who got out there, got the signatures, and they have no choice, but they had to take some action. That's the only reason you're having a revision to your city government in Bossier today, is because of that effort. And there's no way in hell they're going to give you retro and allow you to have, you know, new blood in government in Bossier. They're not going to do it.
No, they're not going to, you know, shoot themselves in the foot.
Yeah. So go to page 11.
Let's see, 10, 11. Okay. Compensation.
Yeah. Boy, I'm trying to get through this, look at this video and this at the same time, and scroll up on that page just a little bit.
All right.
So right here, you see at the bottom, and you see edit number 18, to clarify the power of the mayor to hire and fire city employees. Neither the city council nor any of its members shall in any manner dictate the hiring, appointment, or removal of any city employee whom the mayor or any of his subordinates are empowered to hire, appoint, or remove. So, you know, that's a pretty strong little change, because as it is right now, I mean, so many of the positions within city government, I mean, the mayor can't put who he wants to in there. Let's go back to Shane Cheatham and in the CAO position. You know, they shut that down and blocked that, and the mayor ended up turning his back on Shane Cheatham.
Yeah, he did. I would argue stabbing Shane Cheatham in the back, and whether Shane would have made a great CAO or not, you know, we'll never know. And I hate to say this because it's, you know, more power to Tommy. And while I think Tommy's a super nice guy, I obviously have been very vocal about the fact that I don't think he's been a very good mayor, a very effective mayor. But I still think that let's take a department of widgets in the city government. Let's say there's a department of widgets, and the mayor should have the authority to appoint or hire or fire within the law who he wants in the department of widgets. He should go to the city council and say, we need $100,000 this year for the department of widgets. And the city council votes on that and approves the $100,000 budget. Within that, the mayor should be able to hire and fire who he wants. Because if it's a bunch of cronyism, that's going to get brought before the city council anyway, and they can just decrease the funding for it the following year or whenever the next budget comes up. But the mayor should still have the ability to do that. Now, if the mayor wants to hire me to run the Department of Widgets and pay me a salary of $100,000 a year, then he would have to go back in front of the city council and say, well, I spent all the $100,000 on the Department of Widgets so far. We're going to need an extra $50,000. And the council says, well, what happened to the $100,000? Well, I had to hire Rex, and he's an expensive son of a gun, and we paid him $100,000. So now we need $50,000 to actually get the widgets out to the citizens on time. And the city council can say, well, sorry, take a hike, or they can approve the $50,000. That's my simplistic way of how I think this should operate, which is not really the way it operates in Bossier.
Well, keep your finger on the pulse of that thought, because this is going to continue to just get better and better and better as we go along. But let's keep moving, because we got a lot to get through here, and there's a lot of. Go to page 16. Let's keep rolling real quick. And I have to prompt myself, because when I made these notes earlier, it was a little difficult putting all this together, because I do have this video sitting kind of waiting to try to blend in here. Now keep scrolling on the page 16.
Okay.
Down, 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 down. I think right there. Authorize any contract for formal agreement on behalf of the city with a term no longer than 2 years, and do not obligate the city. I don't know if that's the right one, but in my notes I have they are trying to change or going to change something in here to where you don't have to have an ordinance, and it would limit the ability of the public to be able to comment or to take a position on issues specifically like intergovernmental agreements, and I put in my notes an example as being the port deal and the water line. Maybe, no, that's not going to be right in the minutes. So, but I had that listed on page 16, but I'm not reading that right there as being on page 16.
Okay.
So page 20, page 20 was just and I don't think that is the correct page 20. I'm going on page 20 of the PDF document.
All right. So this is page 20 of the 79 total.
Yeah. For the page 20 through page 22, that is just reiterating the term limits for the mayor and let me say the election and the way that the mayor is elected and the terms of the mayor. And it basically mirrors the way that the council is, with the exception that, of the 6 years, as it isn't applied to the districts versus the at-large seats. Which, if it's going to be 6 years, I don't care if it's 4, if it's 6, make it 2 6-year terms. Somebody serves a total of 12, or 3 4-year terms. I'm fine with that. Personally, I like the 3 4-year terms. So if somebody by their second term has went from being a pauper in rags when they first get elected to their second term, that, they're wearing the finest suits that you can buy, you kind of know that government ain't serving you. It's serving them. At least you got the opportunity to cut them off at the legs within 4 years.
Right.
Or 4 more, cut them out of 4 more years. So, but 20 through 22 is just more of the same. Let's go to page 25, and on 25, this was an interesting observation that I made. So in here, this is where you have the city trying to steer, I should say, and you can see on here consensus. You see all those edits to the right, and you see consensus, 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 consensus. They pretty much what they're doing here is like almost every one of the department heads, the consensus is on potentially these being contracted positions like Manchac, all of it. They don't have to hire an employee. They can do a contract it out to somebody. So if you wanted to be, Rex, as you were describing earlier, over the Department of Widgets, why would you take the job as an employee of the city when you could just say, hey, look, Mayor, I really, I got my own consulting firm, and why don't you just do a contract with me, to operate the Department of Widgets? Why would you hire somebody to be that? So across the board, they're trying to contract everything out. But here's the thing. Manchac's going to end up running all of it.
Yeah.
So I got to tell you, it got me to thinking a little bit, Rex. It really did. You know what? The only department it appears that is not going to be turned into a contract deal?
What would that be, Mr. Lowry?
The city attorney's office.
Oh, imagine that. They don't want, you mean they don't want to
20
contract out to Caddo?
Go to page 25. You think Richard Ray and them gonna get themselves wrapped up in this? Heck no.
All right, so let's see. I think we're on page 25 to be consistent with section. So maybe 26.
Well, all except for the city attorney's office. They're pretty much all in there except for the city attorney's office. Yeah, you were right. But hey, I think they're on to something. I really do, and I'm glad they got consensus on that. And I hope that some of them are listening. So I think y'all are on to something, and I think you need to take it to the next level. In fact, I think your contracting idea is so good. I think you should consider contracting a mayor and city council to do even y'all's jobs.
I'm on board with that, Mr. Lowry.
Y'all are
And do the
dead
legal
on the
services
money.
too. I hear that since the Cypress District has cut back on the expenditures to the heirs firm, that heirs and all them are looking for extra work anyway. They can contract out to a Caddo firm to handle the legal services and contract out. Heck, they could contract out to Cheatham to be the mayor.
There you go.
See?
There you go. So page 26, and I think that might be kind of where you're at right there.
Right.
And it begs a question. If they go to doing a contract, so if you're going to be a city employee in one of these department heads, they're kind of mandating that you got to live in the city, right?
Right.
But if you're a contract, I'm wondering if you have to be living in the city.
Why should you? Again, heirs Shelton Law Firm. I'm sure they're looking for work.
So therefore, why would you do it as an employee of the city?
Yeah. But why isn't legal mentioned in here? I mean, for any of the Charter Commission members that watch this, why not bring up contracting out the legal too? Put Richard Ray on the spot. Right then and there.
Well, I think I have that marked, but let's keep going. Page 27. I mean, look, this Charter Commission is like all over the place. But so keep scrolling back up to the top. I think that's why I missed something earlier. But anyway,
maybe.
So for all of us term limits folks, and for the people, and we were griping last show about people not taking action. You're not exercising your rights. And I got to tell you, I have fully expected this Charter Commission to go after the public's right to petition in some way, shape, form, or fashion. I expected them to try to amend out your ability to do anything. And why should they not? Because the majority of people don't take no action. They don't do anything. And if they did, nobody would raise any fuss. They wouldn't do it probably.
So hold that thought for just a second. So Christopher James Norris, who, as any of you that watch the show knows from the other side of the river, he says, this is another thing I've said before. Why can't term limits work for the city of Shreveport, but not Bossier City? Now, of course, the counter argument to that, Christopher James Norris, is I wouldn't exactly say that Shreveport works. Just saying. Anyway, but I did want to throw that comment out there.
Well, highest debt per capita of any city in the state of Louisiana, and Councilman Montgomery says, welcome to Shreveport in Bossier.
And has made millions of dollars off of his position.
Yep. And writes the insurance for the port that just got us involved in a deal with a company that filed bankruptcy, which they said that people like us were lying about. And we literally showed the documents. Oh, no, we're not lying. And that if they want to build a turd factory next to your house, they have gotten the legislative approval to be able to do it. And you have no recourse. But hey, by all means, don't believe us. Y'all believe them. And
Just what's that? Well, I won't say the actual expression, but something about bleep around and find out.
Yeah. So
we'll say
but
wait
anyway,
around and find out. How about that? Put that the nice way.
yeah, but here we go on this. On the initiating ordinance, they really didn't touch it, but they did. They did make an amendment or two in here. So one, they revised the language in there and, defined a petition shall contain this basically everything that's put out in statute. There
Right.
is I did look at this and I reviewed it. There's a couple of things that are not consistent with the state statute, but not anything major. But I mean, when you're dealing with lawyers, they will hang on one word. And although I will say if they hung on that word, that it would be pretty chicken poop. But they made a revision in here. So normally when the people petition, and it's what we operated on before and what we've operated under this existing petition drive, 33%, of the votes cast in the last mayor's election, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we've got an additional petition in addition to the term limits petition going where we were going to reduce the percentage required for a successful petition. Well, they basically in this charter commission, they basically did what we're recommended in one of the petitions, and they're reducing that percentage from 33 to 25%. That's a good thing.
Right.
That makes it a
Yeah.
little easier.
Right.
So kudos in that regard, but why did they do that? I mean, I think putting this language in here was a correct addition, making it easier for the public to petition. I got to tell you, I kind of sort of got the gut feeling that they did that to try to appease some of us on the term limits side. I think that's a
Probably so.
carrot.
Well, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, I guess.
No, not necessarily, but I want everybody to focus in close. So drop down, you see the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then look at the start of that next paragraph and read that first sentence, Rex.
The city attorney shall prepare and make available to any requestor upon request a form petition.
That's right. And then see all the lines that are struck through and then go to the next sentence after that.
Where an approved petition contains a request that the ordinance be submitted to a vote of the people, if not passed without veto by the city council shall either pass the ordinance without substantive alteration within 30 days after attachment of the certificate of the registrar of voters of the sufficiency of the petition to the petition, or forthwith.
Okay.
This is getting into legal word salad.
Yeah,
there's a bunch of forthwiths and sufficiencies, and
let me go back.
Gotta love the lawyers.
So let me ask you a question here. Does that mean that I have to get approval from the city attorney and he has to write a petition if I want a petition?
Well, it is underlined where an approved petition. Let me kind of put the little finger there.
It says the city attorney shall prepare and make available.
Right.
So is that saying that I have to get 1, approval, and 2, preparation from the city attorney to petition? Now,
well, but it's in reverse order. So the city attorney shall prepare it, and then it looks to me like it's got to be approved.
Well, how long does it take? How long does he have to do that?
Let's see. It doesn't
Can he?
really say.
Yeah, it doesn't say, does it? I mean, an approved petition. But I mean, do I have to get their permission to do a petition? Do I have to the subject matter? Do I have to get the city's approval if I don't agree with them not contracting the city attorney's office, and I want to change it? That I mean, you see what I'm saying?
Right.
I
Yeah,
mean,
they can just delay it indefinitely then,
so
without taking any action that they're not bound to take here.
So basically, what they're saying is if you're petitioning, you have a grievance with your government, is what I'm thinking. So I'm just wondering. I mean, I have a link in the notes, but I'm just wondering somewhere I have heard something along the lines about citizens and being able to have redress of their grievances. I don't know where I've read that or heard about that before.
That sounds familiar.
I've heard something before about that kind of scenario and thought process. I mean,
it's a bunch of gray-haired, wig-wearing guys that wrote some deal a long time ago.
I know. I mean, but I didn't know I had to get approval of my government.
A bunch of wig-wearing, beer-drinking old men. Well, some of them were actually young men that wrote a document a long time ago. What would they know? They wrote most of it while they were half drunk in a tavern or two. I mean, think about that concept, people.
Yeah. So I think it has something to do with the First Amendment and the Constitution. I don't know that everybody has the right to, a redress of grievances, but I don't know that it said anywhere in there that you have to be approved by your government to seek to.
Let's just face it.
I think it even uses the word petition.
Yeah, you've got the right to petition it, but it does not say you have the right to have your petition approved.
I guess this is the modern day Constitution. I don't know.
You got the right to say what you want about the government. Doesn't mean they have to listen.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, so let's go back to the restring and 4229-273.
All right, 4229-273. And you know what I've noticed? Now, we still have over 60 dedicated followers listening or watchers, and we appreciate that. But notice we got into the legal mumbo jumbo and into the weeds with the Charter Commission, which is arguably important or should be important in theory. But we've lost about a third of our people that have just checked out on that. They're like, who cares? Same thing with the term limits. Who cares?
Yeah,
anyway.
That's right. Play it from there, Dano.
Here we go. Tell me when to stop.
Their publication issue, and it's to shorten the delay of the effective date from an ordinance from 17 days to 10 days. That's basically the same thing that I just explained, that the new change would just shorten that delay. And I think we have to have a 10-day delay afterwards because there's a period where the mayor could veto. There's several things that 10 days is the quickest that it could be done. But if we can shorten it just from 17 days to 10 days, it will help tremendously because there's some times where that delay creates problems. And, we may have a contract that has been ratified and we've got people waiting.
May have discussed it, and I can't remember, but is it possible that kind of like the legislative process with the state where instead of having that layover period where it's, and then it goes into law, could the mayor sign it, like the governor signs the bills and they can be effective upon signature of the governor? Is that a possibility within a municipality that something like a contract could be effective?
I think there's the veto period that the mayor can veto it, but I think also in a different section, there is a protest period of 10 days so that theoretically a member of the public could go do a petition and protest it. And so I think 10 days, unless we change it later.
Wait a minute. Stop right there.
10 days is the minimum.
So now in this section that I just showed y'all just a second ago, if you're going to petition, you've got to get approval from the city attorney and he's got to write it. But On a petition in opposition, you've only got 10 days. So here's what I would say. What do you think the likelihood that you would even get a response from the city attorney if you so choose to want to go get, and they left it at 33%, if you wanted to oppose an ordinance and an action taken by the city council or the city, and you wanted to go out and get 33% of the signatures by petition of the people who voted, and you only got 10 days to do it, do you really think the city attorney is going to prepare and make available a petition, a form petition within 10 days for you to do that? Hello?
Yeah, I'm trying to process this. So,
I mean, did you catch what? Because I put them together for that reason, because I wanted to think about that a little bit.
right. So, of course, no, they're going to use that, to as a stalling tactic easily.
I mean, I realize nobody's going to go out and do that. It's just not going to happen. And if it was something some action that they took that was so egregious that people were in an uproar, I mean, you're going to have people come out of the woodwork. You would think, but nobody's going to go out and get 33% of the signatures in 10 days. You can't do it.
You can't
do
it.
Nobody's going to even try to do it.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. That's the question I was going to ask, because the way I'm hearing this and reading this, granted, my first time literally right now, they're saying you've got to get the petition approved or from the city attorney and approved or whatever, and get the signatures in 10 days?
Yeah.
I wonder if that's 10 business days or 10. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not happening.
So anyway, if you jump to the 48-47, I think Shane Cheatham and Juliana both speak, and they make an observation, and I don't know that I disagree with them.
Well, that's a shocker right there, but here we go.
I mean, obviously, probably everybody sitting up here pays attention and would see that prior to that. But if there's only 2 days from the time that it's actually published, my concern again is that looks like something that we're trying to take away from the people. But again, for me, it wouldn't. I would see it probably the day after, watching it on YouTube or whatever the case is. But I don't know if the average citizen would.
I'm
pretty sure the average citizen doesn't read the legals in the.
I don't know how you can.
But it does. And a good example of that today, though, is the city council met today.
Yeah, I got to stop right there. She's, to say this, she's right.
Yeah, average citizen don't read any of this crap.
No, I mean, they go through the dog and pony show and publish it because legally they're bound to, but the truth is, the average citizen's not. Very, very few.
Yeah, so they made another change. Page 28, if we go back to the other document.
Advance a page.
And yeah, and they page 28, they changed, if a petition is submitted or whatever, they increased it from them having to take action from 90 days to 120 days. And
okay, yeah, there at the top.
Hang on just a second.
Okay.
Go ahead. Take over for a second.
Okay, while you take care of some business over there. All right, so let me go through the notes here, and I'll try to wing it here. Hold on, let me get things operating here. So, yeah, page 28, they went from 90 to 120 days. Let's check over on page 30. They're going to do a compensation study every 3 years. 28, let's move over. Page 30. Okay. Let's see here. It's a lot of legal speak, but we're looking down here towards the bottom, says in order to ensure that employee compensation is such that the city can recruit and retain a qualified workforce, the city shall, no less than every 3 years, authorize and fund a compensation study to be completed by an outside and independent provider of such compensation studies. Well, I'd have to say, there's your pay thing. They just completely solved it in one fell swoop.
Yeah, I mean, but that's something that they should have already been doing. I mean, why is it that they're just now having to do it? Oh, I know. Wait a minute, because there was a term limits petition because they weren't taking care of this kind of crap. I mean, now all of a sudden you're addressing things like this. We shouldn't have had to got to this point.
Better late than never, Duke. Come on. Be an optimist.
I know. So, page 37. Yeah, that addresses arena division contract. In which that was kind of already in place when they did the arena down there. They did a contract. They put that in a contract deal. But page 38.
Okay, let's see. Let me go one more page up.
There's an amendment in there that if you read that kind of right there, it says the official powers and duties at the request of any member of the city council or the mayor, this department shall prepare ordinances and resolutions for consideration by the body. So the addition of the mayor to be able to put ordinances forward.
That's interesting. So how does the process work now? He's got to get a city councilman to actually put it forward?
Well, I think that was a little bit of an issue when he tried to put the term limits thing. Remember when they wouldn't recognize the ordinance for the term limits thing? I mean, he put one forward, and I think there was some controversy on that. And I think this is an attempt to try to clean that up. I mean, look, it's that thing of a council-led or mayor-led city thing, and I think that's what we're talking about here. And this is where as you can see, there's no consensus on that edit right there. In fact, he puts their area of disagreement between the mayor and the city council. Well, obviously, this council disagrees and is limiting or doesn't want to give the mayor's office the power to put things forward, and they want to keep his ears pinned back.
Yeah, and I would argue, certainly with Tommy, arguably probably even before, although, well, it's a whole other conversation. But anyway, all right, next item.
Well, let's go back to Restream, and let's listen to Richard Ray at the 5403 mark, talking about contracts.
All right, so number 30 at the bottom of page 16, this is something that the things, and I know we're jumping around, but I mean, this is under section 3.20 that talks about items that require an ordinance before the city council. And so if you look at item P, any contract or formal agreement on behalf of the city, and Ms. Nottingham will agree that Mr. Jacobs and I both agree. We don't agree on everything, but we agree that this charter says any agreement needs to go before the city council. And it doesn't matter if it is the most minor thing, then it's our opinion that it needs to go before the city council, because someone, it's supposed to be the mayor, it's not always, it could be somebody else, but somebody's obligating the city to something in an agreement. And so even if money's not being exchanged, then it needs to be voted on by the city council. The mayor's elected, the city council's elected. It's a double check and balance on any agreement. So we've been adamant that agreements need to go through the city council.
Even when we're getting money. When we're on the receiving end.
Well, and I think that's the citizens' voice.
But it is. But then we've run into issues when, like the reason that this change is suggested is because if it's not obligating any money or any type of obligation to the city, like we do a lot of intergovernmental agreements that have to be done on an annual basis, and they're really, I don't know if perfunctory is the right word, or they're just, they're things that happen, but they just happen
have
all the
agreement,
time.
like with our civic center being a special needs medical shelter. And so with that, I mean, they give out a payment schedule and everything, those types of agreements that we renew on, not always an annual basis, but on a regular basis, where only with other governmental entities, either maybe with the parish or with the state, to accept those from this, section of it.
And it has in there the purchasing agent, which we'll get to that later, and that's why it references 16.03.2.
Yeah, I'll stop there.
That was.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, I see good points and I see bad points, but like, I don't know if it was Amanda who spoke up and said, but look, if you go to simplifying this business and you simplify this thing, the only on all these contracts and stuff, the only time that the citizens have a chance to voice an opinion or to raise an opposition or to speak to a subject is if it comes before the council and it's put up here. So any effort to try to prevent that, what you're preventing is you're preventing the public's, I hate to say due process, but ability to voice an opinion. While they don't utilize it and they don't exercise it, this meeting right here was only 2 people sitting in the audience. One, Colonel Crockett, and there's another little lady, I can't remember her name right now, but I see them at the meetings all the time. They're the people that are consistently there. Everybody else, nobody exercises their rights. They don't do it. But it still needs to be there.
Well, on a little further thinking, I don't want to belabor it too much because we still got a little bit more to cover, but the same argument can be made against my argument earlier about the mayor being able to, hire and fire people. Well, what if he's just hiring his best friends? What's the check and balance?
Well, and on all these contracts, I mean, look, if I want to run the Department of Widgets down there, I mean, I'm going to go donate money to Tommy Chandler's golf tournament. I'm going to be in every one of the golf tournaments. I'm going to be the sponsor. Every one. Count on it. It's going to happen. I'm the guy. That's all you got to
do. I got to think on that one. Okay.
I mean, I don't know. So, in the video, I've got the 108 mark, which is basically them talking about, if you jump forward to that, the mayor hiring and firing, and that would actually also go back to the part on page 11. But let's listen to that. Let's hear what they had to say in regard to the mayor having the right to hire and fire.
Okay, here we go.
So will you clarify what that's actually doing?
49?
Uh-huh.
I'll make it easier. I think let's just parking lot that. That probably is not something that should have been as a consensus item. In fact, I mean, what I think it does is it makes it clearer that the mayor can hire, fire, and do everything. But I think the charter was already clear that the mayor could do that. But
it lacks the word hire in the current charter. It states appoint, suspend, or remove. And so I think the hire language was potentially added to make it more clear.
So I think parking lot is good.
Yeah, I think on that one it is. Okay. So
and on that point, CAO was one of those positions that was changed to where he would hire without having to have council approval. The CAO position was added in there, which brings an interesting thought. CAO, Amanda is the CAO now, but boy, if this was in place, when Shane Cheatham was put forward, David and all the rest of them wouldn't have been able to block Shane Cheatham.
Yeah, and how things may have been different, we will never know.
Now Richard is saying that this is a point of contention and it needs to be parking lotted. And, we seen this charter commission member there was saying, "Hey, let's put this one out to the parking lot," meaning that it's going to be contentious. But I'm just wondering, is this the carrot for Shane Cheatham to make him happy?
Well, and in rethinking again my rethinking a few minutes ago, the check and balance of the city council for the scenario of the mayor just hiring his best friends to run the Department of Widgets instead of somebody qualified like me would simply be they can cut the funding and kill the whole department.
Well, true. And the other thing is contracts, I would think, would only run concurrent with the term of the mayor. And the same as appointments, if I read correctly in there, appointments would only run concurrent with the mayor. There's no incentive for somebody to take a job as an employee of running a department if your term would only be, as good as the term of the mayor. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Okay. Where next?
Yeah. So, when you jump down to like long into this thing, you get down. Yeah, I know everybody's getting bored with this thing, and we're going to wrap it up. The page 77. I mean, we're only at like 40 something, but we're just going to basically wrap it up. All the rest of them, if y'all want to be if you want to have a contract to do the solid waste division, if you want to direct public utilities, if you want to do the director of fleet services, all that crap, hey, y'all better get your game face on, because you're going to get the opportunity. You could try to, weasel in there and get you a contract with the city and do all that. I'm telling you, it's there. You need to go for it.
Well, and we'll go ahead and make sure either tonight after the show, or it may be tomorrow, because, well, we're running about 9:15 now. I will post this document on Bossier Watch as well, and the McCormicks lawsuit appeal as well, so that everybody, you can, peruse through the documentation at your leisure.
Oh, wait a minute. We got to go to the video. We got to go to 14101. Y'all are going to love this one.
Okay,
so
let's see. Yes, 141. Okay, here we go. Is this animal services?
Yes, sir. Play it.
Oh, well, here we go.
Go ahead.
So if we're moving 107 for further discussion to the parking lot, then why wouldn't we move 109 to the parking lot?
Well, 109 was not even, it was already in the
109
parking
was a
lot.
consensus.
Right, that would also be revisited at the same time. 107 and 109 would be revisited together as they related to the animal services enforcement.
Okay, I want to make sure we're clear.
And then 110.
So here's the thing.
Permits and inspections.
109.
Okay, so we're on
109 is moving, the animal control to the police department. So the police is going to be in charge of animal control. Well, here's the deal. So basically all they're going to do is from now on out, when y'all get an animal call, you better have guns drawn. Red Rover, y'all better look out.
Bulletproof vest for the canines.
They're using the cops on Red Rover. Oh, wait a minute. They already did that.
Yeah, they already did that, Duke. They've already set the precedent. They've already trained for this, Duke.
Oh, and they go a little bit further when they were talking about, I think it was 110, but permits and inspections, they're moving it out of engineering to the fire department.
Wait, what?
Moving permits and inspections out of engineering to the fire department. But what I didn't hear was are we going to get a discount from Manchac?
Well, not just that. There's the fire department, going to get a raise for that. Wait a minute.
I'm waiting.
Are we going to outsource the fire department now?
That's what I'm waiting on. I'm waiting for somebody to say, what, is Ruttenbuck fixing to run the fire department?
He is just such a multi-talented guy.
I mean, look, is he going to drive a Crown Vic, or is he going to drive a Tahoe? I mean, it's got to be a Tahoe. It's the fire department or the police department. He's going to have to be in a Tahoe.
What permits were they talking about? Were they talking about the occupancy permits where, you can't have more than this number of people in the building in case it catches fire and everybody can't get out? Or are they just talking about every permit?
No, you know them permits where they got to come in there and they got to check your canuter valve to make sure your extinguisher spray's right and all that good stuff. I mean, that's what they're talking about. Hello?
Okay. Okay.
I mean, that's right up Manchac's alley.
Yeah, I guess so. They're into everything else, so may as well get their hooks into the permit department because then they can charge extra fees for the permitting process.
Well, Colonel Crockett ended it pretty good, and I got to tell you, him and the chairman. I mean, the chairman seemed like he was carrying the water for Manchac. I couldn't. It kind of shocked me a little bit, but you know, we ain't got to go there. I mean, we've done beat y'all to a pulp tonight. It's long, boring stuff. And but did want to give should give Colonel a shout out. The guy, he goes
He's
he
a
goes to
warrior.
the meetings. He stays on top of it. He does more than I mean almost everybody else in the city combined as a citizen. Just speaking up, whatever, just voicing an opinion. He's there. He's a voice for the public, and hat tip to him.
Yeah, no doubt. And if I remember correctly, he's not actually a resident of Bossier City.
That's correct. He just cares about Bossier.
He just cares about Bossier City and does it so we'll all be informed. And, well, so we have more to talk about every Tuesday evening.
So there is another Charter Commission meeting coming up, and they will be talking about term limits. And, I think that everybody, you should go and you need to go and you need to advocate. If there's anything regarding what they're considering, on these issues, I think at the next Charter Commission meeting, the things that they're talking about parking lotting, the things that they're going to have to vote and kind of make a decision on which way they're going to go. One of them will be on the term limits for the council and the mayor. You guys should show up and make your voice heard. I mean, it's your right. You don't use it. You should finally use it. Show up at the council meeting and say something or to this Charter Commission meeting and tell people what you think. Let them know. Don't just.
Well, hell, for that matter, we should go. Of course, you need to take a pillow and a blanket and an alarm clock with you because they do tend to run several hours.
Yeah. Well, I can't encourage people enough to go, advocate for yourself and your neighbors. And if you feel inclined,
look, it's real simple. We appreciate each and every one of you because at 2 hours and 21 minutes of talking about such mundane things as the Charter Commission meeting, albeit it's important, we still have over 50 people watching the show that have stuck with us through and through. And we appreciate that. But there's more to it than watching us two yahoos get on our soapbox every Tuesday night. We want you to continue watching us, but we also want you to be involved as much as possible in going to the city council meeting and the Charter Commission meeting and even the police jury meetings and all that kind of good stuff. Heck, go to the library board meetings if they actually have those.
Yeah, just get involved in some way. Be that Colonel Crockett.
Yeah. Be a Colonel Crockett. Be an Energizer Bunny.
Yeah. All right. That's enough torture for tonight. We'll see y'all Thursday or next Tuesday, whichever comes first. I don't know.
Yeah, well, we'll figure that out. Just watch out for the post. We tend to post the little event listings when we decide to have a show and actually what it's about. So, like Duke said, we appreciate every one of y'all watching. Y'all know the drill. Go to the website if you want to donate coffee money, or not. It doesn't matter. Also, if you have information you want to share, protonmail.com, make your free Proton Mail account. Don't put any identifying information in it and send us an email. And we do tend to take a look into those. Any last words from you, Mr. Lowry?
Go Trump.
Good enough. We're out.